Excitement builds as people eagerly await the start of the Wardance aboard the Sky Splitter. The anticipation is particularly high among those gathered, with some even needing to cool down their excitement. The event organizers will notify ticket holders when boarding begins, and the ceremony will start with a special salute. Discussion turns to the upcoming tournament schedule, where a young ringmaster has accepted 4 challenges. Some spectators discuss betting on the matches, though one admits to losing credits on previous RoboBall games and decides to avoid gambling this time. The ringmaster decides to step down from their role to focus on security matters as a Cloud Knight lieutenant. They emphasize that capturing the fugitive takes priority over the tournament, suggesting someone is orchestrating chaos behind the scenes. Despite the tense situation, some leaders insist on taking time to eat and stay focused. They discuss strategy, noting that patience is crucial when dealing with cunning enemies like the Borosan, who are currently lying low and holding Mr. Zhu hostage. The situation has evolved with General Huaiyan taking temporary command. While the shackling prison situation is somewhat stabilized, there are concerns about the upcoming ceremony scheduled in 6 hours. The loss of contact with a messenger from Xianzhou Yaoqing adds to the tension. Leaders decide against declaring martial law to avoid creating panic among visitors and complications for event staff. They recognize this crisis as part of a larger scheme to spread chaos and fear throughout the Laofu. The situation at the shackling prison reveals deeper issues. A prison break was orchestrated by disguised Borosan, resulting in casualties, including Judge SH. Cloud Knight generals prepare to investigate personally despite the dangers. A discussion reveals an exceptionally strong Borisin named Hulay, who demonstrated unusual brute strength. Hulay is described as a fearsome monster who united Borosan forces into a grand army of abominations, causing significant problems for the Alliance armies. A battle from 7 centuries ago is recalled where Hulay's presence caused devastating effects. His lupatoxin induced panic among Cloud Knights, rendering them unable to fight. The battle ended in heavy casualties with only a few survivors, and everything was stained crimson red. Questions arise about why Hulay was imprisoned rather than executed. The Sendro Jumi typically cast dangerous abominations into eternal flames. The Lao people's tendency toward mercy is discussed, drawing parallels to their handling of issues within the Alchemy Commission. Several Borosan infiltrators were discovered disguised as officials, including a Cloud Knight and members of various commissions. This suggests someone in a position of power is helping them obtain official identities. Details emerge about Borosan nature. They require blood and flesh for sustenance. Hulay somehow survived 7 centuries in prison without food. The discussion turns to the brutal treatment of a victim whose blood was completely drained. Historical context reveals Hulay's extensive crimes, including turning many Foxen into pawns. The decision to imprison rather than execute him was complex, involving political considerations between different factions. The conversation reveals connections between Foxen and Borosan bloodlines, particularly regarding moon rage, seen as a blessing by Borosan but a curse by Foxen. This genetic link led to dangerous research attempts and ethical concerns. The complex political dynamics of the Sieno Alliance are explored, emphasizing the importance of unity between 3 races, Foxen, Viadora, and Sieno natives. Past mistakes and necessary trade-offs for maintaining peace are discussed. The current situation involves multiple attack groups, including well-armed Mara-struck soldiers who aren't escaped prisoners. Suspicions arise about inside help, particularly regarding maps of the shackling prison and the involvement of various factions. A discussion takes place about needing concrete evidence for a public trial. To interrogate someone in the Viator's ranks, irrefutable proof is required. The plan involves sending an invitation to the preceptors, along with evidence including remains of Mara-struck soldiers and a route map found from a prisoner. The conversation shifts to concerns about an outing messenger taken hostage by Hulay, who was imprisoned in the shackling prison for centuries. The speaker then explains their healing abilities that combine culinary and medicinal arts, turning medicinal ingredients into palatable dishes through their magical cauldron. A tense exchange occurs about the Borosan's modified taste buds, which can only truly taste blood and flesh. The healer makes a dark joke about cooking someone alive before explaining how to get children to eat vegetables by mixing them with meat to mask the flavor. The situation becomes more threatening as someone accuses the Foxen of betraying them for the Sieno people. They reveal knowledge of tracking techniques like the Jade Abacus and Sky Cranes, warning that false hope will only make death more painful. Information is revealed about a war slave who escaped and used inside knowledge to fight back. A prophet named Mongus is mentioned, who promised to unite the Borosan packs and restore their former glory through someone's return. The conversation explains why Hulay, imprisoned for 7 centuries, shouldn't be underestimated despite the Cloud Knight's numerical advantage. Having been deprived of blood and flesh for so long makes him especially dangerous to civilians during the upcoming Wardance. The military strategy is discussed. When surrounding enemies leave one escape route open, they're analyzing the situation from the perspective of escaped prisoners, realizing they'd need a star gift to leave Lafu. The plan is to track the Borosan at Stargazer Nalia, where they're preparing an escape vessel. At Stargazer Nalia, suspicious activity is observed, including oddly positioned staff members and a lone Cloud Knight patrol member breaking standard protocol. A craftsman showing unusual behavior draws attention, suggesting infiltrators are present. The infiltrators' flimsy disguises are exposed through their contradictory statements about Stargazer Nalia's lockdown status. This leads to a confrontation where one reveals herself as a general, triggering a violent clash. A captured Borosan refuses to provide information, but unknowingly plays into the general's trap. One escapee is intentionally allowed to flee, using a common Borosan hunting tactic against them to track their hideout. The scene shifts to a medical emergency, where Dr. Jiao attempts to save someone injured in battle. Flashbacks reveal previous conflicts with Borosan beast ships and devastating losses. A revelation about moon rage emerges. It's described as both a blessing for wolves and a curse for foxes. For Borosan, it brings joy through transformation, but for Foxen, it means certain death due to poor regenerative abilities. A healer reflects on the futility of saving warriors who continuously rush back into battle. Despite feeling lost about their sacrifices, they eventually understand that these deaths hold value and strengthen the living. The scene opens with a dramatic recitation of the Wolves' Creed, which talks about dead ends, doom, and eternal prizes. There is discussion about consuming enemies' flesh and crushing their hopes, setting up a dark and ominous tone. The speaker wants to demonstrate how their group truly respects their enemies through brutal means. An urgent message arrives about a discovered arrangement at Stargazer Nalia. The Sky Splitter, a ship meant for the Wardance, is preparing to depart. The conversation reveals tension between characters, with one accused of hiding fearfully and abandoning dignity. There is mention of a prophet who is dismissed as a manipulative liar. Plans are revealed for rising to power, with imagery of wolves among lambs. There is pushback about not having enough forces for war, but this is dismissed with the declaration that everyone becomes part of the pack. The speaker positions themselves as an apex predator who creates fear rather than serving it. A confrontation occurs with someone referred to as a monkey. Threats are made about unleashing violence in the streets. The speaker plans to infect others with their blood and promises widespread hunting throughout the area. The tone is menacing and focuses on dominance and fear. The scene concludes with final preparations for the war dance. March experiences nervousness about their mission while viewing the competition ring. Meanwhile, security measures are being implemented, with teams taking positions and monitoring movement around the port. There are hints of potential trouble brewing. The situation grows dire as they discover Hulay's strategy to spread panic by transforming citizens using infected blood. Emergency measures are put in place, including traffic bans and orders for citizens to stay indoors. The antagonist's plan is revealed to be misdirection, similar to a party game. The true target appears to be the Sky Splitter ship, which would provide both escape and hostages. Strategic planning becomes crucial for the defenders. An important lesson about decision-making in battle emerges. Hesitation can be more harmful than making the wrong choice. Forces are mobilized to protect various locations, including Starkhaven and the Sky Splitter. Intense combat breaks out in Starkhaven as wolf-like creatures attack. Veterans reunite to defend against the assault, showcasing impressive combat abilities while trying to contain the damage to the area. The battle spreads to multiple locations, including the Exalting Sanctum and Aram Alley. Time becomes critical as defenders race to stop Hulay's plans. A signal system is established for coordinated retreats. The aftermath of an intense battle reveals total devastation, with no survivors left for interrogation. The fighting style is described as particularly brutal and decisive, drawing comparisons to legendary warriors. Hulay issues a final challenge, threatening to turn the Sky Splitter into a bloody symbol of Borosan resurgence. The stakes escalate as the confrontation moves toward its climax aboard the ship. The scene shifts to preparation for a tournament called the War Dance. Characters discuss their responsibilities and missions, revealing personal motivations for participating in the upcoming events. The initial discussion revolves around security concerns aboard the Sky Splitter. While there are challenges in distinguishing between Borosan and Foxen entities, the Cloud Knights maintain vigilant posts and continue investigating forced identities. The elite status of Cloud Knight soldiers aboard the vessel is apparent. An unexpected emergency boarding request arrives at the Sky Splitter. Despite not being on the official registry, the documentation appears legitimate. The mysterious arrival uses the contestant docking bay, prompting immediate inspection of the suspicious star skiff. During inspection of the star skiff, tension builds as a countdown threatens the ship's destruction. The situation diffuses when it's revealed that Borosan Infiltrators cannot disguise themselves as shorter individuals, providing a way to identify potential threats. A critical situation develops in the engine room, where Cloud Knights are discovered incapacitated. The War Dance ceremony preparations continue, despite mounting security concerns, creating a tense atmosphere throughout the vessel. The discovery of infiltrators in the engine room suggests a larger security breach across the Sky Splitter. Concerns escalate about potential attacks during the War Dance ceremony, prompting urgent action to reach the ceremony ring. A clever strategy is revealed. The War Dance ceremony is actually a trap, with real spectators replaced by Cloud Knight soldiers. The Sky Splitter itself becomes a battleground, positioned as the only vessel in the sky to draw out potential attackers. The situation intensifies as a major confrontation unfolds in the War Dance ring. Multiple warriors gather to face the threat, with March joining the battle alongside other fighters, demonstrating unity in the face of danger. The conflict reaches its climax, with revelations about hidden motives and secrets. Both sides realize they've been studying each other, leading to a tense standoff where past research and preparation come into play. The final confrontation brings forth discussions of fate, transformation, and liberation. References to blood wine and Aurus customs create an ominous atmosphere as the situation reaches its conclusion, leaving questions about healing and salvation unanswered. A heated conversation takes place between a young warrior and a healer. The warrior desperately seeks a cure for their moon rage condition, but the healer insists they are not fit for battle. The warrior then makes an unusual request to cure war itself, which the healer dismisses as naive, explaining that war has persisted for thousands of years. A critical battle situation unfolds where one fighter reveals they have consumed tumble dust, a lethal poison, as a strategic move. They view this sacrifice as necessary to save innocent lives, comparing the deadly poison to a form of medicine in this context. The battle intensifies as fighters engage in combat. One warrior's movements begin to slow down, giving their opponents an opportunity to strike. The situation becomes increasingly desperate as the fighters call for assistance. Epic combat continues, with warriors unleashing powerful special moves, including references to mythical creatures like the Azure Dragon and White Tiger. The fighting becomes more intense as warriors showcase their ultimate techniques. The situation takes a dark turn as the final phase of a hunting game begins. A mysterious crimson moon appears to be driving fighters into a state of bloodthirsty madness. The atmosphere becomes increasingly tense as the true nature of the threat is revealed. An intense confrontation reveals fundamental differences in ideology about freedom and identity. The discussion centers on rejecting imposed labels and embracing personal choice, with underlying themes of power and destiny. The debate touches on deep questions about self-determination and the consequences of our choices. A childhood memory unfolds of escaping slavery, running alongside companions while chasing the hope symbolized by a shooting star. The moment captures both the desperation for freedom and the tragic reality that hope sometimes leads to loss. This formative experience shaped future perspectives on liberation and justice. The true nature of shooting stars is revealed as weapons of mass destruction rather than symbols of hope. Years of witnessing these Lux arrows fall brought understanding that each light meant countless lives lost. This realization led to disillusionment with divine intervention and sparked a fierce determination to fight against such destruction. The scene shifts to a significant meeting between Miss Lingsha and Preceptor Tan, revealing complex political dynamics within their clan. Their conversation touches on past exile, transformation, and the weight of previous decisions that led to current circumstances. Evidence regarding a prison break is discussed, including details about assassins using cloud-high magic and escape route maps. The conversation reveals a deeper conspiracy involving multiple factions and the resurrection of the Osal Arbor, highlighting the complex web of political intrigue at play. The discussion delves into the desperate measures taken for the Vided people's survival. While fighting for survival isn't condemned, the methods used crossed ethical boundaries. This creates tension between pragmatic necessity and moral principles. The conversation concludes with revelations about a complex plan involving the Alliance and its thousand-year war against the Dennis of Abundance. The discussion touches on the delicate balance of power and hints at a potential solution involving dragon-related secrets. The concept of transmutation is introduced as a way to transform life forms into soldiers for an endless army. This controversial idea is presented as a solution to both military casualties and overpopulation concerns. The plan involves using these transformed soldiers, who would cease reproduction after the war. A tense confrontation occurs involving Cloud Knights and various individuals, including Bo, Dan Hong and Lingsha. The situation involves complex politics between the Alliance and the Vidad, with strict rules about violence on Vidad territory. Someone is using a young girl as protection, causing moral outrage. A heated discussion about rebirth and accountability takes place. The concept of rebirth is revealed to be a controversial method of evading past crimes, with some arguing it shouldn't excuse previous actions. Personal conflicts and philosophical differences emerge between the participants. The situation escalates into violence with commands being issued for combat. The atmosphere becomes chaotic with references to thunder and showing no mercy. The conflict intensifies despite previous diplomatic attempts at resolution. Political maneuvering and power dynamics are discussed, with mentions of foundation within the alliance and the art of compromise. Someone is willing to be a scapegoat, confident in their ability to survive through political negotiations and secret knowledge. Plans for future action are discussed, revealing that recent chaos was orchestrated by hidden forces trying to divide the alliance. A commitment is made to lead the Verdant Knights into battle against the Ruined Legion, showing determination to address these threats. The aftermath of recent events leads to diplomatic considerations regarding Wardance and public relations. Plans are made to manage public perception and maintain stability. The situation requires careful handling to prevent panic and maintain alliance unity. The conclusion focuses on the larger implications of recent events, particularly regarding the Yano Alliance's 1,000-year mission. Discussions turn to addressing new adversaries and presenting these matters to the Marshal, suggesting significant changes ahead. A complex strategic situation is unfolding that resembles an ancient chess game with incredibly high stakes. General Yaoqing has been assigned to continuously analyze and assess the situation. The meeting addresses both the Lafu crisis and another critical matter requiring group attention. Yaoqing has transmitted a message from Xianzhou Yaoqing regarding recent matrix calculations. The gathering marks a reunion after 30 years apart. There are references to the Seat of Divine Foresight's chessboard and discussions about different strategic approaches between advisors. The situation involves multiple layers of complexity, including unexpected participants. The Marshal apparently sent not just 2 generals, but a third unannounced guest to the LAU. There are comparisons made between Mr. Jinu's intelligence and the capabilities of other strategic advisors. The interrogation of 2 prisoners on the Yue revealed crucial information. Their supposed planting of a stelland was a deception. Their actual goal was to present a strategy called the Godslayer Protocol directly to the Marshal. The strategy centers around a blonde traveler's coffin, which contains remnants of the Perpation and Swarm author. This fragment is described as crucial for defeating a plague author in the future. The plan requires forming larger alliances before confronting divine entities. The narrative introduces Ruan Mei, member 81 of the Genius Society, arriving at Xianzhou Lao. The arrival timing was precisely predicted. A new character named Ting Yun identifies themselves as an ambassador from the Whistling Flames Merchant Guild.